I'm Annie, class of 2017, and I'm here with Erin, class of 2000.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Tell me a little bit about your life today.
Well, I am studying pediatrics, so I'm a resident at St. Louis Children's Hospital, which means I'm completed my medical school and I'm working on my pediatric specialty training, so I get to work with kids every day. I'm married. I married my husband about a year and a half ago, and we have a little dog named Minnie, who's pretty cute, and we like to have her around. I'm also working on my family's charitable foundation, and so since 2010, when I graduated from Georgetown, I've been working as the director of our foundation. So we do a little bit of nonprofit work with different charities in St. Louis, and so that's been another exciting part of my life.
What do you consider to be your greatest accomplishment since graduating Rossman?
I would say probably graduating from medical school was my biggest accomplishment. It took a lot of work and a lot of time, and I finished and I was able to say, my goodness, I put all this time into it and I am officially a doctor and I get to work with kids every day and do what I love. So I would say that's my biggest accomplishment.
How has your Rossman experience influenced who you are today?
So I would say that the Rossman rules, or the Rossman R's is what I called them when I was here. Respect, responsibility, kindness, and honesty have really shaped who I have become today. And I'd say that those really were instilled in me while I was here at Rossman. So I think that, having those core values has really influenced what I wanted to do and who I've become, and wanting to give back to other people and be responsible to the community. So.
Tell me a little bit about your academic journey after Rossman.
So after Rossman, I went to John Burroughs School for secondary school, which I loved and had a really good experience there. I was there from 7th grade to 12th grade. And then after graduating from Burroughs, I went to Georgetown University, which is in Washington, D.C., and I spent 4 years there. I studied, I was pre-med, and I did a degree in psychology, which I think really helped me with what I wanted to do eventually. I did my pre-medical studies there, and then after graduation, I spent a year back here in St. Louis, and I was doing research at Washington University in pediatrics, and so I was looking at the brain development of little babies and premature babies, and thought pediatrics was really cool, and so that's what helped me decide to go to medical school. So for medical school, I went to University of Missouri, and that was another 4 years of school in Columbia, and I really enjoyed that. And then after graduating from med school, I'm doing my residency now. So that's how I feel like I've been in school my whole life since I've left Rossman, but finally actually working and helping kids and doing what I
love. How did you become interested in medicine?
So I think even when I was back at Rossman, I really liked science. I was always good at science and always good at math, and I had this curiosity of wanting to figure out a puzzle and figure something out. And I also really like to help people, and I wanted to give back. And so I found that bridging science with helping people led to medicine. And so when I was in college, after a few courses where I was just doing chemistry, I decided maybe it'd be really neat to help other people with the science that I already like to do. So one of the things I did at Georgetown was I worked on an ambulance, and so I became an EMT, and I learned how to help people when they're sick and when there's emergencies, and I loved it. I absolutely loved helping people, and so I felt like maybe I could take this to the next step by becoming a doctor.
Tell me about your work with the Englehart Family Foundation.
So the Englehart Family Foundation is a charitable organization that my parents actually set up when I was in high school, was when they first started it. And from the beginning, they were the ones in charge of which organizations we felt like we should give back to as a family. And since I was little, my parents had always instilled in me, it's important to give back to those that haven't had the privileges that you've had. So from the beginning of the foundation, my brothers and I have always been active, and we're able to help them decide kind of what organizations are important for us. So starting when they first started it was just sort of getting our ideas. But when I graduated college, they decided they asked me, they said, Erin, was this something you'd want to do? Would you want to run the foundation? Do you want to be the director of the foundation? We'll still be involved, we'll still help you, but we kind of want you to do this. And so I thought it was a really neat opportunity for me to kind of be the one that got to meet with the organizations and decide which ones we support and try to help give back to the community that we live in. So.
What was Rossman like when you attended?
Let's see, Rossman was small, it was cozy, it was one of the most fun times of my life. I had teachers that really inspired me and were creative and had new different ways of teaching us things that I'll remember to this day. Rossman, it was a happy place. It was like a family.
What is your favorite Rossman memory?
One is, crazy enough, it was one of the lunches that was my favorite thing. It was the chicken and rice soup with peanut butter and jelly, and it was like this magic jelly that my mom could never find, and it was better than anything I'd ever had. So I'd say that is one. One of the most fun times I ever had was when I got to be the headmistress for a day, principal for a day, I think is what they called it. So I got to go into Mrs. Betts's office and I got to run the school. I got to lead, to read to the kindergartners. I got to order pizza for my class. We had a really fun time. I called some of my friends to the principal's office, and it was one of the best days I ever had. Also just the little things, like the art projects that we would do. Some of them still are in my mom's house to this day on the wall. Our self-portrait I worked so hard on. I don't know if they still do that these days. My hero project in 6th grade, it was one of my favorite things to work on. So just all these small fond memories that I think of pretty often and really, really reflect fondly.
Which teacher left the greatest impression on you?
So I would say it was actually my kindergarten teacher, SK. It was Mrs. Morris. She was the most bright and warm and cheery person I've ever been around. I think she drew these, I have this memory right now of these big smiley faces in the room, and she just was such a kind presence and has been somebody I've stayed in touch with over the years. She's been just a wonderful person to look up to, and she's the one I reflect most fondly on when I think back on my time at Rossman.
Describe Rossman in 3 words.
So to pick just 3 words is really hard for me. So can I pick 4? So I think I want to go back to the respect, responsibility, honesty, and kindness. Those words have stuck with me my whole life. I think of them often, and that really just instilled in me those core values of what shaped my life. So I'm going to pick 4 if that's okay.
What is your lasting impression of Rossman?
So that's a really hard question. I would say when I look back and when I think about Rossman, I just have a warm sense of family. I just think about how happy I was when I was there and how much the values I learned there have shaped who I am today.
Thank you so much for meeting me here today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun taking this trip down memory lane.